and today I'm going to talk about some Faeria cards, especially the removal cards. And with me I have Shotgun.
Hello.
Hello. For those of you who don't know, but you all should know, Shotgun is a very experienced Faeria player, and he has a lot more knowledge about the game than I do, so I thought I would ask him to join us.
Well, for those who didn't know, I am actually one of the first ones who joined the Vanguard program, which is the program that Abraham put in use for testing purposes and balance. So yeah, I've been playing this game longer than most people here, so I do know a little bit more probably. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying that I'm the best player because I'm not. Right now, that
You're
honor
the
goes to
second best.
Hiflin. Apparently so. I wouldn't even call myself second best, but hey.
Since I'm not showing any game on my phone.
And other than that, I'm also the moderator in the Discord channel for Faeria.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk a little bit about removal cards, and what's important in Faeria is that you wanna get value out of your cards. So if you play removal, you preferably the removal costs less than the minion removed, so you gain a Faeria advantage. And
yeah, that's the best case scenario. However, because of the way that removal is costing in this game, generally you get a worse deal out of it. But we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, sometimes you can remove multiple minions with one card also, and that's obviously very good. So you get card advantage. Let's just pop up the first few cards. I chose to select the neutral cards first. We can talk about those.
Yeah.
So Falcon Dive. What's your thought about Falcon Dive?
Falcon Dive is actually really good removal. However, it's currently not played as much because people generally don't tend to run a lot of one health minions. However, if for example the meta starts to develop in a way where farm boys and other one health minions become the norm, then Falcon Dive would be a great use of removal to remove those early harvesters, because those minions with one health, low costing minions with one health, generally tend to become harvesters. So if you can pop a Falcon Dive on that harvester, you delay the harvesting of your opponent.
Yeah.
And there are, I think, only two creatures where Falcon Dive is isn't the best value, and those are Farm Boys and Rubyfish, because those cards also cost one Faeria, so it's a 1-for-1.
Yeah. 1 second. Dan wants to join Skype as well. I'll add him to the call.
Of course he does.
I'm not sure if you can still see my screen now.
I think you can, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I really like Falcon Dive, and even if it doesn't, I mean, you can also use it on a 2 health minion, for example.
Hey!
If you already dealt 1 damage to it.
By the way, your screen disappeared. Hey, Dan.
Okay.
How's it going?
You can see the cards in the stream, right? So
yeah, I can see the cards in the stream.
Hey, Dan, why don't you introduce yourself for those who don't know you?
Some people don't know me in the Faeria community.
I doubt it. But Faeria is going to go real big real soon.
All right, well, I'm Dan Felder. I am what we like to call the primary content developer on the game. That means that even though a ton of people have input on the design and Jem is the lead designer, he's got a lot of other responsibilities, especially because, he's a brilliant programmer. He also has a huge hand in the business side of things. And I'm the guy who mostly generates a huge amount of content. Even now, lore pieces, all the cards usually in their initial first drafts, unless other people have time or great ideas, which of course does happen quite often, do tons and tons of reworks, and the missions, the dialogue. Basically, if you're playing something in the game, not like UI stuff, but if you're playing something in the game, usually it was the first draft of it at least was me.
Yeah. So you're basically everyone's hero.
I don't know. I don't patch the bugs. I don't keep the game running, and I don't make it beautiful. I guess I'm the one who you usually blame when something is not. You are able to play the game, but you're not having fun.
Well, you're one of our heroes then.
Oh, thank you so much. We're the hero. I'm the hero you need, but not the one you deserve.
So far we just started talking about Falcon Dive, and we both like it.
There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about Falcon Dive. Its use is getting rid of those pesky protection shields.
Right,
Yeah.
That's one of the major things. We value protection usually around in our internal balancing about at 2.5 Faeria. So basically that means 2 Faeria and like a special land requirement. A bit more if it's versatile, like the actual safeguard ability, and a bit less if it's just a creature with that, or a creature that doesn't have a great body that you can't really take advantage of it. So Falcon Dive, no matter what though, can take off the protections. It can do it really efficiently, and also it does a lot of other cool things, like combining with, say, punishment to kill 3 life creatures. It can kill a lot of really nasty things, and often just gets you right over the edge. Something survives with 1 life, and bam, no, it doesn't. Takes off a village elder. They pay 2 Faeria for a 1/1. You pay 1 Faeria before they harvest. They're paying Faeria for cards, but you are ahead in Faeria advantage. It just does a lot of good stuff.
Yep. I think the only color where it's a little bit less valuable would be red, because they have other ways of dealing that 1 damage through mostly creatures. Ground Shaker, Flame Spitter.
Right. Aldeon, Ignis. But frankly, I got to disagree with you slightly there, because I found when we're playing that those type of effects get better in multiples. That if I have Ground Shaker you down, then I suddenly Falcon Dive with Ground Shaker kills anything with 2 life.
But that's the thing, like, it also costs a deck slot, so it also depends if you have the room for it, and that's why I say red needs it the least.
I don't know. I mean, red... I guess you could say if your goal is to get rid of protection cards, that red probably needs it the least, unless it's a really, effective protection card, like the old, back when it was a 5/1 King's Faithful. Then you really needed it. Yeah. But the thing about it is, those abilities really do get better in multiples. So red, if you're using high cost stuff, can afford the card disadvantage more, because like a really high cost sort of bargain bin list, or bargain economy in general. Even just mono red base. If you're using a lot of high cost stuff, you're going to usually be drawing a card each turn and playing a card every 2 turns. So you can rig it in a way that the Falcon Dives work out pretty well, I think. But honestly, as good as I think the card is, and as interesting a tool as it is, I can't think of a deck where I really want to run it.
Well, that's the thing. That's why what I said at the start is it depends on the meta, because if the meta evolves into having a lot of 1/1 cheap harvesters, Ruby Fish, Farm Boys, a lot of 1 health minions that are just generally used for harvesting, then Falcon Dive will be great. But right now in the current meta, because of Vicious Control being so popular, I don't think people are running Falcon Dive, because people then tend to not run a lot of 1 health minions because of the Vicious Control meta.
That's very fair. And I've got to tell you guys, take this card in Arena when you start getting into the Pandora mode.
Most definitely.
We actually built the entire mode around Falcon Dive as being one of the answers in the traps. Like right from the beginning, we spent a lot of time on this removal package, basically, trying to make sure that there was, that we had safety valves at 2 high Faeria, and like at these costs are when you dodge this removal spell, these powers are when you dodge this removal spell, these lives are when you dodge this removal spell. And we created what I really like in this sort of intuitive system. That if you see a 1 life creature, it's actually very vulnerable. It's not like, oh, nothing does like 1 damage efficiently. No, it's actually very vulnerable because of Falcon Dive. So that's supposed to be one of the ways we make the game very intuitive.
By the way, I also think there's a disturbance in the Matrix, because I just agreed with Hiflum again.
I don't understand where that's coming from. I mean, like, you guys, I'm sure, agree on like 90% of stuff, but I think like the devouring plant thing has snowballed.
Oh, it wasn't just a devouring plant, it was also Explore, but...
Oh, the Explorer. Like, what was he saying about Explorer?
The going second. That player 1 has way bigger advantage over player 2.
Well,
we heavily disagreed on that. But.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I think that there's some inherent automatic balancing factors there. That, for example, the land build matters most in a rush matchup. And the lands don't really matter that much in a control matchup. Like, intuitively, you would think that having Faeria a turn before your opponent does is this massive advantage, and being able to attack a turn before is this massive advantage. But if you actually start learning how to use the Explorer in various ways, your ability to to get to a certain location faster than your opponent, to build more defensively than your opponent, to do all sorts of things is really impressive.
Yeah,
like
but
one of the things people start realizing with rush decks is if you are going turn 2 with rush, yeah, they have extra time to set up against you, but they can't stop your land build. I mean, it's just amazing. You can run around them. You can grab lands right in some of the most aggressive situations. That I think as people play the game more, they start learning new nuances of the land build and how big a deal it is to be on a diagonal space from the orb rather than directly in front of the orb.
But I think we're going off topic right now. I think exploring would be a topic for a later date because we're talking about removal right now.
I have
okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
Pictures ready here.
I thought we were talking about really low-cost neutral cards.
No, the topic of today is removal cards. But one thing I want to talk about Falcon Dive is if the board is already established by both players and you have like some big guys out and you're in top deck mode, Falcon Dive makes you really sad if you top deck that in the end.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
but that assumes
that's about the only downside I can think of, though.
Yeah, but top decking is only a problem in some lists. That often you have a handful of good, powerful cards. If you're not running economy events, things like that, usually you have a constant menu of options. You're very rarely down to the last stuff. Maybe you're digging for the right taunt, something like the amazing devouring plant. So that's where you have fun. But maybe you're digging for an answer. But even then, a random 3/3 would also usually lose you the game. It's just, or a random like creature would. It just feels worse because Falcon Dive looks more situational than it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a really good card. I just do not. I also think the Farm Boy is this absurdly powerful card, but I can never let myself put it in a deck. It never seems to go with my main strategies.
Yeah, but again, I think that's also because of the current meta.
Yeah, that's possible.
So it depends on how the meta evolves. What will become the more popular decks over time? At some point, Farm Boy and Falcon Dive might become very popular.
I mean, yeah, I really want to
especially if Farm Boy becomes popular, Falcon Dive will see more play.
Yeah,
that's true. I really want to talk about harvesters, but because I think it's a very interesting topic right now. But we should probably move on to the next removal.
Famine.
So Famine. It's basically the same thing as Falcon Dive. It costs 1 more Faeria. It deals 1 damage to all creatures, including your own. So it's actually not at all like Falcon Dive, but it's 1 damage. It's good against those harvesters.
Yeah. This is like one of the Going Down's favorite cards. Like it was he was single-handedly warping our internal meta because he would put it in everything. Like you knew he had it and you knew he was going to be in the tournament. So thank God we actually let people change decks between rounds, because we did an interesting thing where you'd basically do 1 round a day in order to accommodate 24-hour schedules and with different time zones and stuff like that for balance testers. So what would happen is you would allow people to submit new decks every single day, which meant the meta would constantly evolve and it would change and grow every day, which was really interesting. But TGD, you always teched super hard against it, and every time he would make the card look really good.
Yeah, but I think in his situations he could have used other cards for it, to be honest. Right now, I feel Famine is better in Arena or Pandora.
Yeah, we're calling it Pandora, but I forgive people for I'm going to accidentally call it Arena a lot too for now because it was just our placeholder name. But I think
people know what Arena is, so
exactly. I feel like again though, Famine gets better in multiples. If you have 2 Famine, 4 Faeria to deal 2 damage to the board is so much more powerful than 2 Faeria to deal 1 damage to the board.
Yeah,
or 6 Faeria to deal 3 damage to the board.
I'm really interested in some sort of there is a combo that's sitting in the meta right now that I broke wide open. No, not the Sea Storm Dragon one. Not Orosei.
No, not Orosei and Famine.
No, everyone knows about that. But
I like the idea of using Famine in my Fatigue deck with the Plague. What are they called? Plague Bearers?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Plague Bearers are also.
Yeah, that's like a 5 Faeria discounted Flamestorm. That's not bad at all. I think that there is interesting combo going on right now that we nerfed into the ground after I broke it